Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining MetaverseXpress Full Stop, where we hit the brakes to discuss hot topics in the metaverse. My special guest today needs really no introduction to a lot of people. But for those of you who don't know him, he is, what do I call you, a crypto educator. He's a trader. I would say you're an entrepreneur as well, especially a huge Cardano advocator and the host of his show Cryptocrow on YouTube. Crow, I am so excited to share you and your wealth of knowledge with my viewers today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mona. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. I just call myself the gray-haired ogre of crypto. The crow thing was a long time ago. I don't even think I had as much gray hair then. So well, I mean, educator is best.
You fit it so perfectly. I can't stop calling you Crow now. I just call you Crow because you fit the description very well. And you've been around for, gosh, how long? I'm late to the party once again.
My first video on YouTube was December of 2017. I think it was December 2017. And I got into crypto several months prior. But it wasn't until I had that kind of like late night epiphany that I talked about at that panel in Miami or wherever we were. I don't even remember where that one was. But and then it all clicked, and then I just started shooting videos out of my mortgage office with a little Logicam.
Oh my gosh. That's where it started. The Logicam camera. Well, I mean, it wasn't late though. You were very early to the whole thing. 5 years ago. That's a long time. And you've been doing it. So you've seen it all, the ups and downs. And here we are. And yes, we met just recently in Miami at the Central. This is how I met Crow. Hi, I'm Mona. He's about
very 10 true.
Feet,
you and all men tall. Do the same thing.
I know you really are like up there.
Anybody I meet, they have no idea. They don't realize just because they see my head all the time that I'm actually 7 foot. And I was actually 6'6" in the 8th grade. And I started in a new school. Well, I started a brand new middle school. We just moved, and everyone thought I was a substitute teacher until like the end of the day. So yeah.
I bet. But we hit it off right away too. And we've been kind of talking since. And this is really honestly one of the reasons I love attending Web3 events. In-person meetups do really give us value that I think you just can't get in the metaverse. I've met some amazing people, including yourself, and made some great friendships at these events. So I am pro events. You can't get it all done behind the camera and behind the keyboard.
Very true. And it's good to be able to meet people and kind of see their real personalities and kind of get a feeling for who's really who, because there are a lot of people who put on different faces. And I think that's another thing that people are generally shocked by. What you see is what you get with me. I'm the same dude in person that I am on YouTube. And, I remember years ago, Crypto Zombie met me in Vegas and apologized profusely after hanging out. A whole bunch of us were hanging out for quite a few hours. And he apologized because he thought I was let's just say he thought I was going to be much different in person. And he's like, you're really real, man. You're really real. I'm so sorry. I thought you were something else. And and there are a lot of guys that are actually really cool and oftentimes even cooler than they are on YouTube.
100%. 100%. Speaking of that, you were the one who said, we were talking about first impressions, and you said your first impression of me was a reporter who was there to get dirt on people until I actually talked.
I did. I because you just had this demeanor like you didn't belong in the crypto space somehow because you weren't nerdy. And you didn't, and that was just me judging. I shouldn't have judged, but you had your partner with you who's going, I'm like, who is this, and what's she doing here? And then all that stuff with Ben and BitBoy kicked off on the panel. I'm like, she's getting what she came for, because that's exactly, because we hadn't talked yet, and I just saw you and you were doing your thing, and I'm like, oh man, we're all going to end up on the news, and it's probably not going to be good. And But then, and then I come to find out you're fantastic, and that's not
Thank
at all
you.
why you were there, and you're just like a real crypto fan, and you're somebody who's really trying to get into the mix. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was wrong.
See
I
what
was wrong.
happens, guys. First impression in the metaverse doesn't go so well. And then you meet each other in person. And the moment people open their mouth, you can tell
Mhm.
right away who's real, who's not, who's full of shit. That's why I
Right.
love the events, because we get to see and meet each other face to face and know how real some of the people are. And speaking of real, I mean, you really do so much in the short time that I've gotten to know you. You do so much for this space, and you're very authentic and organic, and you see what you get, just like you said. So I kind of wanted to introduce you to my viewers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and how did this journey start for you?
Well, I mean, I started my first company out of high school, so I've always been pretty much self-employed, just learning new industries. I used to own a record label. I was an MMA fight promoter for 6 years. I worked with
What?
I took guys from the fight team I was on and managed them, built them up into the
I
UFC and
see
Strike
that.
Force.
You can be a
Yeah,
total
yeah,
MMA. I see it. I see it.
yeah. I was just in jiu-jitsu last night, as a matter of fact, with my stepson.
Holy, you
But
would knock someone. I don't even want to see that knockout.
I
That's
did
going to be
actually. There's a
scary.
fight on YouTube that people watch. It was 35 seconds long.
Well,
As the
how
old
does your
days.
height make it fair? You're too
He was
tall.
6'6". I fought a guy that was 6'6". He's a
Okay, I
heavyweight.
guess that's not bad. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a super heavy, so there's no weight class for me in the UFC. So I never tried to make a career run at it. I would be literally skin and bones if I were 265.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I did all of that stuff. I've done a lot of things, and I was in the middle of building a mortgage company, like literally building a mortgage company, and opening a branch office and hiring loan officers and training these people and doing all of this stuff, marketing and you name it. And I discovered crypto watching Ian Bellina and Michael Supo Man, and these guys. Trevon James was one of them.
Oh my
Love
gosh.
him or hate him, but I was like, he was great. I got my first like little stack of Bitcoin from Trevon James by commenting under one of his videos, and it
Way
was
back.
legitimate. So and I watched these guys, and I just slowly started to learn. And I had heard about Bitcoin back in like I don't know what it was, 2012, 2013, and I thought it was something people were using to buy EverQuest swords, just like a digital money that would get past the EULAs of all these games, and I thought, cool, but it's not my thing. And I just didn't know anything about it. And then you fast forward to present day, or 5 years ago, and it just clicked with me, and I realized that this was going to be the future of everything. It was gimmicky. It was a
Yeah.
lot more gimmicky at the time, but I understood the technology behind it. Every waking moment, probably 90 days, I spent reading articles, reading books, watching videos. I mean, everything, to the point where I was like a madman. For about 90 days, I read everything. And then one night I woke up at like 4 a.m., like half hysterical, like crying, like, oh my God, it clicked. I get it. I get everything. And I'm seeing blockchains in my head, and I'm, seeing where this can go and where that's going to go. And once that all started to just settle, it's almost like, you cram for an exam, and then you give yourself a day for things to just settle.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that settlement just woke me up in a fit. And 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 then I started recording. I'm like, okay, I'm learning all of this stuff, and it's clicking with me, and I'm gonna just my daughters were on YouTube all the time, and I thought, well, maybe this is where I can kind of teach people what I'm learning. A lot of what I did back then was I would go into projects and I would read through the white papers, and kind of distinguish, in my opinion, whether I thought it had legs, or if it was crap, or if it was garbage or not. And I did videos on crypto mining. I was really big into crypto mining for a while. And I mean, you name it. I mean, everything from trading to long-term investing to ICOs to just the differences in blockchain. I mean, you name it. If it had to do with crypto, I was learning all about it, and I was just sharing that journey. Man, I tell you what, I turned $3,000 into 90 grand in like 60 days. And then I told everyone on YouTube how I did it, and what metrics I looked at, and what I thought was worthwhile and what wasn't. And it just started blasting me on YouTube. I mean, I was getting 2,500 subs a day. I was growing so fast that people were accusing me of like botting. And then finally I was redeemed when YouTube went through and cleaned house of all of the fake subs, and my channels are losing 100,000 to it. I didn't drop it all, and like
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that stuff. It's not my bag anyway.
You're working on some really cool projects too. There's a social media project that I was checking when I was stalking you.
Yeah,
What a,
Blocks.
yeah,
I'm
so
working
blocks.
on a game. I have an automated trading bot. I have an NFT collection, which is the Murder of Crows that everybody's always talking
Very
about.
cool stuff, guys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put your links in the show notes so people can A,
sure.
follow you, B, kind of check out these projects, because I really love the NFT project and I love the social media project. But sorry, go ahead.
Well, the Blocks is a tall order. Like this has been an ongoing thing in development for quite a while now, and I've been waiting to get it submitted to Project Catalyst, but they keep pushing it back. So, I'm funding a lot of the stuff out of pocket, and Blocks is basically the goal for it is to be kind of a one-stop hub for your social media sharing content, where the cream rises to the top, and that doesn't rise just goes away for good, right? So
Yeah.
it's almost like you have to post quality content on here. You're going to earn tokens for your engagement, for what you provide. You're going to be able to, the community is going to be able to pick and contribute to minting your content on the blockchain, so it's there
Nice.
forever, or getting rid of it if they think it's garbage. And there's so many different elements to it. We have an NFT marketplace we're building into it, an NFT search engine. All of these things we have built outside of it, but we're going to integrate it all under one roof. And there's just going to be a lot of functions all under one roof, and it's all going to be related to this social media aspect of it, where you're going to be able to display like your top 8 favorite NFTs that you own. And then there's going to be a marketplace within that, so that if somebody wants to make an offer, a lot of trading, a lot of things like that, just swapping collectibles, and just, there's so much to it. Even my game Wargrim, which you can kind of see behind my head, that's going to be integrated, so you want to go to war with somebody, you can build your little army list and go to war in a little 3D realm with your little models on the table and stuff. And there's just, I'm just trying to build kind of a world that I would love to hang out in and share content with, engage other people with lots of options to kind of fuel my journey in crypto.
And we're going to talk about the ideal metaverse environment, because I talk about that often. And that's really what you're doing here. We all started with one thing, right? And then it kind of is, as we are learning Web3 and this digital environment, and how we all can be the creator of our own digital environment and create valuable content, and content ownership, be it the premise of our own little world, where then essentially is token gated or not, whatever you want to do. But this is like, we're all building on this very chain that we kind of created for ourselves. So it's really cool to see that you're doing that. And I would love to do, we have to do like a whole nother show of going into some of these realms and environments that you're building as well. In the meantime, I want everyone to go and follow you. Your links are going to be in the show notes. And while you guys are here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button as well. But going back to where we met, I actually initially saw you on stage when that whole argument happened between BitBoy and the heckler in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually been wanting to bring you on since, to kind of get your take on what happened, because it was intense and it went on for a long time. And I was like right there up front, up close and personal, recorded
the front row right there.
Oh, the reporter in me kicked in, and I just went.
I noticed.
Yeah, exactly. Crow's like, yeah, see, I told you guys, she's here to get dirt.
She's here. She's ready. She's following BitBoy around, just ready for him to pop off.
I knew, but I wanted to make that incident the first topic of our conversation, because it's important, I think, to talk about why it happened and how we can prevent things like that moving into 2023. Obviously, 2022 was a rough year for all of us, and a lot of people lost a lot of money that perhaps they didn't have, right? And emotions were running very high. And at these last events of the year, in a way, I think people were looking for an opportunity to point their fingers at someone, right? And it happened.
Every bear market, that's what happens.
And I think this one hit people really hard, and people were playing with monies or the money that they didn't have.
Mhm.
So it happened that at this event, many of these fingers were pointed at the influencers. One, because of, say, misinformation, and two, because of these influencers or some of these influencers accepting sponsorships and promoting projects that ultimately failed. You've been in this space long enough to see these mistakes made. Do you think some of these influencers need to really reassess what happened?
My approach to a lot of this stuff, so there isn't an educator or an influencer that has talked about multiple crypto projects on YouTube that has been accurate 100% of the time. Even to be accurate half the time is a feat in this space, right? And I've done paid segments, and I have disclosed my paid segments long before it was ever even considered a thing to disclose paid segments, only because I just always felt like it was a smart thing to do. If somebody's paying me to even talk about something, I feel like the people listening should know that. And so, and I also have a rep. I just did another one. They're so pissed. I have a reputation for very honestly reviewing projects that pay me. And companies know that they roll the dice with me. And I have gotten a little more bulldogish about that because of the way so many of these projects have proven to be BS. And, at a time when, an influencer or an educator or somebody in crypto is new, there's so much flying at your face all the time of information, of persuasion, of whatever. And so if it were possible to know, and here's the other thing too, if it were that possible to know what is a scam and what isn't, it would be like Minority Report in crypto, because the SEC would shut these companies down before they were able to spend a dime in promotion anyway. Why is everything retroactive? Because hindsight is 2020. When it comes to paid segments and things, I have no problem if I'm watching anybody and they want to pay me, or if somebody paid them to talk about the pet rock. Sure, I get it. Cool. Somebody's going to pay you to talk about the pet rock, or somebody's going to, any kind of paid segment. If I know it's paid, I don't care really what you say, because I know it's been paid for, so I can tune it all out. And is there a responsibility to the educator or the individual that's trying to cover their expenses, pay bills, and make a living, and doing all of the other work that takes so much time to do, so that we can provide as accurate a message about whatever it is we're talking about? Is there something wrong with us basically making a living for what we do? Because YouTube doesn't pay that much, right? I
Right,
don't even
right.
know. I
It's
have no
nothing.
idea what I make on YouTube.
Like
It's
a
nothing.
hundred bucks a month. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Sorry, YouTube.
and
Yeah.
so it's yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And so I don't ever even consider that in anything that I do. I call it as I see it. You can buy time on my channel, you can't buy me. So I'll talk about your project. I don't care if I think it's total garbage, but I'm probably going to tell people that I'm not too fond of it for this reason, that reason, or
Thank
another.
you. And that's exactly what I was going to ask you, because personally, for me, at the end of the day, if you bring your project to me, I'm doing my due diligence. I need to know what I'm talking about, right? So I got to do the research. If I'm doing the research and I find out that you're full of fluff, sure, maybe I'll, like you said, maybe because I need the money, I'll take the money and I'm going to talk about your project. But at the end of the day, I need to put my head down on my pillow and know in my heart that I would sell this to my uncle and my grandma and my mom. Like, I can't just sweep it under the rug and collect the check. I can't do that. So,
And unfortunately, there are too many on YouTube willing to
right,
do that, especially if they're outside of the US, because they
of
have
course.
nobody saying they have to do things any other way.
Let's just go ahead and call it like it is. BitBoy. Do you think he's going to re-strategize his 2023 promotions?
He already has. He doesn't even do paid segments anymore.
Yeah.
He'll do sponsorships for like exchanges and things, I think, but I think he's been scared right out of doing paid segments because all eyes are on him. All
And
of these
he's getting,
YouTubers in crypto, that have like 1 million plus subscribers and they're grinding it out and they have huge teams. And when you have a team of 10, 20 people and they're all doing a different thing to try and bring business in, try to get a head up on what the projects are about and what's happening. The researchers are probably going into this stuff and giving them cliff notes. Like, this is what this project does. This is what this is about. This looks pretty good. And they may not have a clue what the hell they're doing other than just gathering data for him to soundbite. Right. And so, is there a responsibility to doing things like that differently? Maybe. You also don't want to buy into any crypto project just because some YouTuber says it's cool, especially if they're being paid to say it's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky thing. And I think ultimately Ben, I've known Ben a long time, man. I've known Ben since long before he ever did shit on TikTok or YouTube. I mean, he used to do animated videos because he just wanted to make people in crypto feel good and get a laugh out of the crazy stuff going on. And he would put countless hours into these animated videos. He wasn't doing this because he thought he was going to make a buck. He wasn't doing any of this because he thought he was going to get rich. He was in it because he wanted to be a part of the community, and he's a crypto fan and he loved the space. And when he went to TikTok and started doing the dark web stuff and blew up over there, he brought all those people into the crypto space. So from day one, he's bringing 1.5 million, 2 million people into the cryptocurrency space at a time where a lot of those people were just wasting their time on TikTok. So some people say, oh, well, he got big on TikTok because the algorithm helped him and this and that, and he just brought them all over and, shortcutted. And no, he didn't. He brought a whole new world of people into the cryptocurrency space and then educated all of them on all sorts of different things related to crypto. And, it's like a lot of people love to hate on him, but I commend him for the work that he's done and the fact that he's, I know what his monthly nut is that he's paying out to all the staff and the people he's employing. When people want to like attack Ben and say, oh, he's a scammer and he's a this and he's a that, I can't honestly say I could ever picture Ben intentionally promoting a scam project for a paycheck. He doesn't need the paycheck that much, folks. He's got a hell of a lot more money than most of us think. Okay. Yeah. So he doesn't need to take some crappy scam project and make a quick 30 grand and sell his soul and destroy his channel and his entire reputation. He's not going to do that intentionally. People that invest in the things that they can't afford to lose, it's very easy to scare them right back out of that position at a loss. That's one of the number one things about it. If you invest what you can afford to lose and you're playing and you're having a good time as you're learning, that's one thing. You mortgage your house, you buy $16,000 Bitcoin because everyone out there saying, we've bottomed. And if we haven't, we're super close. And then you watch your money go down to 15, 14, 13. Holy shit, I'm about to lose everything I've got. I got to take back my money and I got to sell this all at a loss. That's the mentality of somebody that invests more than they can afford to lose. And then you can turn around the next day and start going back up, and it can go up $3,000, $4,000 the next afternoon. We just hit the bottom right when you sold at a loss. And these are the kinds of mind games that market makers and a lot of other people in the space prey on. Right. And so, there's a lot associated with the things that we say. This isn't just like to cover our butts. Like, oh, I'm on YouTube and I like this project, but don't invest more than you can afford to lose, because I don't want you yelling at me. That's not what it's about. It's the psychology associated with that mindset going in.
That's probably the best advice I got initially when I got into the space too. They told me that a good friend of mine said the same thing to me. Don't put what you are not willing to lose. And I did exactly that. And that's the same concept, even with the stock market or any investment that you make. But I think people were looking for just a get rich quick. We're starting the new year, and I'm glad to say that the casino is finally closed, folks. And we're here looking for long-term projects. Speaking of long-term projects and us content creators advocating what we believe in, you are a huge believer of the Cardano projects. And that is why you are here. Well, that's one of the reasons you're here, because we want to talk about the Cardano project, because Crow has taken the blue pill. And he's
every day. No,
every day with his breakfast, he's taking that blue pill. because he found out I was an ETH
Because
max.
I'm old, Mona. No, I'm kidding.
So am I, Crow.
Oh,
So
please.
here's a
Please.
rivalry.
Still don't believe it.
Here's a ETH Maxi Cardano Maxi rivalry, and we're bringing it to you live right now today. No, I'm just kidding. But one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because I want you to talk about the Cardano project. You've been excited about this project since its inception, it seems. I want you to introduce the project to my non-crypto natives. I don't want us to get too technical. I want us to kind of big picture. What is it that you love about the project? What excites you the most? Maybe highlight some of the features and where is the value. But before you do, based on everything that we just previously talked about, I want to tell our viewers that none of the information Crow or I provide right now is financial advice. This channel is for entertainment purposes only, and we are not financial experts. So please, DYOR, do your own research.
Yeah, I'm just some old dude on the internet. I don't know anything about finances.
Anyways, take it away. Why don't you give us the blue pill?
So, I mean, honestly, Ethereum was my first love. I mean, when I was first exposed to crypto, it was Ethereum all the way. It's what introduced all the smart contracts to the space, and it was fantastic second generation technology. And that's what enabled all these people to rack up big bucks with the smart contracts and associated with ICOs. You throw a little bit of Ethereum at this and you get a bunch of tokens out on the other end. And then hopefully those tokens 10x, 50x, 100x, and it created this FOMO from the 2017 market. Cardano is basically everything Ethereum was, with a lot of the major issues fixed and a lot of the plans for expansion, scalability, interoperability, throughput, all of these things basically either completed now or in the roadmap to be completed shortly. So I look at it as the third generation of blockchain, and it's like Ethereum on steroids. I don't even know if you can say that on YouTube, but who knows anymore. Right. Yeah, it's like Ethereum on juice in a big way. Mm-hmm. And so that's that. And when at a time when I first discovered Cardano, everyone was either not talking about it, or if they were, it was FUD. It was, oh, this is going to be a ghost chain. This is vaporware. This is garbage. And there was all of this conspiracy about the breakup between Vitalik and Charles and Gavin and, what happened and who was at fault and all this other stuff. And but ultimately, Charles has set out to build what I believe is going to be the one blockchain that takes over all blockchains to some degree. I think the technology that's being built is what's going to empower a lot of these other blockchains to operate in a way that Cardano is being designed. So how do I talk a lot about Hydra, right? Hydra is basically going to take Cardano from a 250 transaction per second to like 1 million, right? Yeah. And potentially more, because the 1 million is based off of 1,000 nodes. We've got 3,000 nodes. Mm-hmm. So, if we're able to get 3 million transactions a second, I mean, or more, there's nothing out in the world that can compete with that. That makes Visa used to be the standard for like what every blockchain was trying to beat. I think that's like 150,000, if I'm not mistaken, per second.
Is Cardano at 100,000 right now?
No, Cardano's still about 250 right now.
Right after this, I'm going to do a Cardano versus Ethereum Q&A. And ironically and coincidentally, actually, Crow put out a video today doing a Cardano versus Ethereum comparison. So what we're going to do, though, is going to be a teaser to what he did. But we're going to do that in just a second. But sorry, go ahead, because I want you to finish your thought there about the transaction rates. And that's something we're going to talk about. I do also want you to cover staking, because if there's one thing that I love about Cardano, I'll say it right now, it's their staking. They do have the biggest wallet in the industry. So do please touch on that as well.
Basically, when we're talking about Cardano, we're talking about throughput, and that's such a big deal. Transaction speeds, transactions per second, all of these metrics are about to explode with the launch of Hydra. And we've got Hydra coming and Voltaire, and Voltaire is all about governance, and ultimately Voltaire can help usher in the era of complete self-governance on the blockchain. If you wanted to get into staking, I mean, there's no comparison between proof of stake. I mean, Ethereum's playing catch up, launching as a proof of work. And it was fun. It was a great hobby. I loved it. I built 2 complete mining rigs, with 6 GPUs, and I even did a video where I walk you through building one step by step with all the parts and everything. And it's a fun time. And I ended up giving it to a neighbor when we moved to Puerto Rico. The staking side of things, right now, is anybody able to pull their stake out of Ethereum? I'm pretty sure it's still locked up. Nobody has a clue when you're even going to get access to it again. And when you're staking on Cardano, like I was just looking at the metrics for my node, which is the Crow node, and I think we're doing like an average of like 4.25 to 4.5 yield, percent yield, and it's consistent. And and it's like there are some that maybe they get a spike and it's a little more here or a little lower here, but on average, 4.5 is about average for a lot of these nodes.
That's more than a bond and a money market, by the way, folks.
Yeah, well, you still have the market cycles to contend with, but when you're generating so much ADA passively, when the peak comes back up, how much did you earn over that 2.5 or 3 year period over the bear cycle from the last peak through the bear market? And that's why the number of nodes hasn't dropped. It's more decentralized than anything Ethereum's going to do. You can stake your ADA and pull it out at will. You're not locked into anything. You're generating that yield directly to your wallet, and it's basically like a compounding interest because you're the interest that you're earning on your staked yield just keeps rolling back into the wallet. So it keeps hitting the wallet. Your wallet address is what's being staked ultimately. So whatever's in there, as it grows, your yield grows. It's compounding interest. I've never even extrapolated all like a compounding interest over 3 or 4 years, but maybe that'll be a video.
Crow, will you also tell people what's the easiest way to stake their ADA and using your node as well?
So, I always tell people use whatever node you feel comfortable with. I've had my node up for quite a while. I don't even know. It's been 2 years, maybe. I don't know how long it's been, a year. And my node's just CROW, but, but use whatever node you want. If you've got a buddy that has a node or there's a YouTuber out there that you really like, you get out of, stake with them, stake wherever you want. But ultimately, it's very, very simple, but I would encourage anybody if you're staking a small sum, like maybe you're staking with like a Yoroi wallet, or one of the light wallets or the browser wallets. There are quite a few pretty good ones out there. Eternal, I know a lot of people use. I like Eternal as well. But you just set up a light wallet, you throw your ADA on there and you delegate it right from within the settings. And there's typically a delegation tab. You click that, it'll display all of the nodes. You punch in your CROW, my node will pop up. You click that, you click delegate, you confirm, plug in your spending password, and you're done. It's that simple. I have a couple videos where I've broken it down. I just did one recently on how to stake with Yoroi wallet. But I would suggest this to anyone though, is especially if you're talking a decent sum of ADA, like a large amount, do it on a computer you do not use every day. Any large sums of crypto, whether it's Ethereum, ADA, anything, you do not want to store this stuff on the computer you're using on a day-to-day basis, browsing the web and everything else.
Or I'll add to that, or don't use the email address associated to that wallet that you use on a daily basis. So create a new Gmail account associated to that. And I actually used, when I staked my ADA, I went directly with their wallet, which is Daedalus wallet.
Daedalus, yeah.
Daedalus
That's like
wallet.
running a full node.
Yeah, I initially started with them. So I'll put the links in the show notes for people to yours and also directly to their node as well. And I have a bunch of questions to ask you, Cardano versus Ethereum. Let's do this real quick.
Okay,
I'm going to give you a couple of topics, Cardano versus Ethereum. You tell us who does it better and maybe a short why, if you will.
Okay.
Those who are not familiar, and I hope by now you know what Cardano and what Ethereum is, but they are two cryptocurrency, I would say rivals, maybe. The only thing I'm going to say is Ethereum is older and more established and more valuable of the two cryptocurrencies. They both employ proof of stake, but Ethereum is late to the party. They just transitioned over this year. It makes both projects environmentally friendly. We'll go with that. That's all I'm going to say. The rest is on you. First topic, decentralization. Which is more decentralized? Cardano or Ethereum? Why?
Cardano by far, because there are over 3,000 nodes spread all over the world. And on those nodes, we have 1.23 million stakers that are delegating ADA to those nodes, supporting and securing the network and so forth and so on. And of those nodes, there's I mean, it's the node hosting is broken down. That's also decentralized. It's that, you've got a bunch of nodes that aren't all being stored on the same platforms. So yeah, I mean, that's the easiest gist of it. I mean, there's nothing more decentralized right now. I'm pretty sure it's even more decentralized than Bitcoin.
But I think that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Next, which is more energy efficient and obviously offers lower transaction costs? Why?
Well, as far as energy efficiency, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've never looked at any of those metrics or numbers. Ethereum is more energy efficient than it used to be, obviously. But how it relates to Cardano, I would hazard a guess and assume that Cardano is, but I can't confirm that. And I've never seen any real metrics. So I'll just let my bias answer that and say Cardano by default, but I don't really know. Yeah, transaction fees, I would say Cardano's a lot cheaper as well, especially in a bull market, because Cardano fees don't really go up that much, whereas, Ethereum fees skyrocket. So, depending on the market cycle and where the market is overall and the price of each, that could play a factor. But ultimately, I think pretty sure Cardano's cheaper on transaction fees by quite a large sum.
Today, that's the case today, right?
And I'm sure it'll probably be, well, once Hydra launches, it's going to basically lower the fees even more so that you can make more effective microtransactions. So it's only going to get better from here anyway. I don't know what Ethereum's going to do about that, if anything. They'll talk about something, but it'll be 10 years before you see it.
Okay, we're going to go with Ada on that. Which is better scalable?
Oh, I definitely think, I mean, scalability is pretty much the core of Cardano. Scalability, throughput, and interoperability. Now, through side chains and things, which, we see a lot of different side chains and things like that on Ethereum, but scalability, I have to go with Cardano. I mean,
is it because of their settlement layers and the computation layers that really allows them to basically be any size?
Okay, so there are so many different things that play into scalability. When Hydra launches, it is going to absolutely change everything. I mean, from its scalability to just everything. Its throughput, its interoperability is going to be affected in a big way. And the thing of it is you can't have truly effective interoperability without supreme or superior scalability, because there's so many applications and things that are being built on these blockchains through side chains and layer twos and things. And you can do a lot of this stuff on Ethereum, but Ethereum's problem is it gets bottlenecked too easily. And, so, I have to go with Cardano on that. I mean, it's not something I've seen metrics on recently, but I'm pretty sure it's better.
You don't think the ZK rollups are going to do the same for Ethereum?
I don't really do a whole lot with ZK rollups. I couldn't tell you. I think I stopped looking at a lot of these types of things a while ago, because I feel like there's always a new gimmick or a new ploy on how they're going to make Ethereum or keep Ethereum relevant. And, whether it's ZK rollups or it's wrapped Bitcoin or it's all these different things, does it help? Sure. But I feel like ultimately they're constantly trying to put new lipstick on an old pig. And I think, and I hear these terms, okay, so the ZK rollups, making Ethereum faster and gas cheaper. All right, cool, if it works. But it's the same with like Bitcoin. You got Lightning Network. You've got all these different things where they're trying to patch holes in a sinking ship. And,
are you calling Ethereum a sinking ship right now?
I mean, look at the data. I don't know. Watch my video that I published today.
I'm going to, sure. And I want everybody else to do the same too. Make sure you guys go and check out the comprehensive analyzing that he's going to do with Ethereum versus Cardano. We're going to watch that.
And here's the thing: I'm not an Ethereum hater. I'm really
Uh,
not. A lot of times it looks like it.
and it sounds like it.
I'm not. I use my Ethereum more than I leave my ADA alone. I don't touch it, right? I don't use it for anything right now. I mean, all my platforms, my game, social, all of that, we're building all of that on Cardano.
But when we talk about Ethereum, a lot of times we're talking about the world computer. When we talk about the world computer in this next iteration of digital currency, blockchain technology, and you look at Ethereum and Cardano and maybe even Polygon, who do you see more fit to build this computer, this world computer? Cardano?
Yeah. So here's the thing: Polygon is cool. You know, but I don't study Polygon a lot. Here, okay, so here's the thing, and maybe this will make a little more sense to people watching. When I first got into this and I spent years researching every project out there, I had invested into like 35 different projects that I thought were going to take over the world. And by the time all of the dust settled and everything had gotten shaken out, Cardano was the only one really still standing for the most part, and continuing to grow in all aspects. And I don't spend a lot of time digging into every crypto project out there anymore, because I know that 95% of the time I spend researching a lot of these projects is going to be all for naught, because it's not likely they're going to be around tomorrow anyway.
When you look at ETH and Bitcoin, right, both are crypto OGs, and that gives them a brand recognition, which Cardano still doesn't really have. And I'm not saying it's a popularity contest.
It is a popularity contest, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to interrupt you, Mona, because
Go
this
ahead,
is a thing that I hold dear. It's a part of my video today. Also, it's because all of these early stage adopters in crypto, that these venture capitalist groups, these institutions, all these big whale money people that bought into Ethereum and bought into the Ethereum ecosystem, also did what? They also helped buy advertising on all of the crypto news media to promote their applications, their ICO launches, their whatever the hell gimmicky thing that they were doing with whatever project at the time. And they have all hundreds of millions of dollars invested in the Ethereum ecosystem. Well, what do they not want to have happen? Well, they don't want Cardano getting more legs. They don't want it being able to grow significantly in the public eye, overthrowing the project, the second generation technology that they've got all this money invested into. And as we've seen, you can control the narrative with money. It just depends on how much you have and how long you want that narrative to last. And so you're talking about a lot of really wealthy people that intentionally work to keep Cardano out of the equation, out of the conversation. They don't want, and I mean, it's even been proven that this is an actual thing. People are investing money, pumping money into the media to either do FUD pieces about Cardano or not mention it at all. And what is still happening, the technology is speaking for itself, because Cardano has no voice, and it hasn't had a voice in all these years. And it still went from 2 cents to $1.33, and then all the way up to like $3.40 in markets that were trying to keep it pushed down. You can't hold a good man back, is the way I see it. And they can keep spending all the money in the world, and it's not going to change things.
Cardano hasn't experienced a hack. Am I correct?
No, there's been a rug pull or two with some of the DeFi
but not
stuff,
the type
no
of hacks. That Ethereum has experienced, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Obviously, Cardano is competing with these third generation cryptos like AVAX, Polkadot, and Solana. And actually, speaking of Solana, Hoskinson recently floated this idea that Solana could
side chain,
maybe be a side chain. Is
like
this
a side piece?
A side piece, but is this
I thought it was hilarious.
You can be my side piece, but is this like one of those if you can't beat them, join them scenarios? Or do you really think Solana would ever consider plugging into Cardano as a main chain, because Solana does have security and scalability issues?
Solana has so many issues, and the narrative has been broken. I mean, let's be real. And this is an exact example of what I'm
I love
talking about.
Solana. We're gonna have a whole show about Solana next.
Man, they offer. I was offered an opportunity to work with them, and they were willing to fund some stuff for me, and I said no thanks. And you know what? To each their own. I tell everybody, find the project you love, stick with it, do what you can, hope for the best. But Solana to me is like, it's like a pimple on the face of crypto, and I just want to see it squeezed, and I want it to be wiped away.
Don't say that. We're going to talk about this in another show. But do you think Solana would actually plug into Cardano?
You know, here's the thing. How the biggest question is, how many VCs, how many of these whales invested in Solana because of all of the hoopla that was being coordinated through FTX and SBF and all these people, right? How many of them are at a loss right now? Do they still hold those tokens? It's probably pretty likely that a lot of them are still holding, waiting to see what happens with Solana. I mean, even if Solana were to become a meme token like Dogecoin, it's still probably going to go up in the bull market, right? The question is how much. Or we could piggyback off of much superior technology as a side chain, add more throughput, add more functionality to the blockchain, and ultimately give it new tires, a new axle, maybe a little bit of a new engine, and pick up some better use case adoption so that it has a little bit more merit. And then maybe we'll grow that much more. Would it be a wiser decision? Yeah, in my opinion, because right now it's like I don't know. It's like it used to be like a Lambo on a Fiat body, it's like a Lambo body kit on a Fiat chassis, and now we know it's under the hood. We know it's just a Fiat, right?
That's
so
fucked up, man.
You might as well just attach that Fiat to something better.
I cannot believe you right now. There's so much I have to say. Lastly, real quick, which one is safer and it's going to keep users data more secure? I think you said Cardano, right?
Security is another one of the prime issues that was to be resolved, and why they went with Haskell. Everybody's trying to figure out why Haskell, why had this old, crappy, hard, difficult to manage, difficult to program in, and all that. And security is one of the primary things. I'm not a programmer personally, but I thought I bought a couple books on Haskell programming, and I thought, oh well, maybe I'll learn a little bit just to. I feel like the more educated I am and the more capable I am on all fronts, the more I understand, the better it is for everybody. Hell with that. That's all I can tell you. Like I was starting to read this stuff and I'm like, I do not have the mindset that can be wrapped around something like Haskell.
Well, I think that's very important for people. I think that's number one, actually, for non-crypto natives and the masses. The first thing they want to know is which chain is secure, which chain is going to keep my data safe. And I think that's what they're going to look at more than transaction cost and speed. I think safety and security is priority for mass adoption. So
yeah, there are trade-offs, right? You use something like Haskell for security, but you limit the number of already active developers that are able to program and create applications on that layer one.
Right.
With something like Solidity, it's easier to pick up and learn. You can create any kind of like fart app you want on Ethereum, and it doesn't have to be complex. And just a lot of teenagers can dive in right now and pick it up quickly and do something with it. But that's also why you have Marlowe and Marlowe's Playground, so that people can actually code applications for this Haskell-based blockchain, but do it in other program like JavaScript and Java and different languages. So that kind of thing is going to help in its overall reach and scalability and stuff. But it's still Cardano is still in its infancy in a lot of ways, but we're definitely getting there.
Well, Crow also believes Cardano will hit $7.85. Today's price, we're looking at $2.82, but he did a recent video on that. So if you guys want to find out why, you can check out his new video. There's 2 new videos that you need to check out: Cardano versus Ethereum, and why he believes Cardano will hit $7.85. Holy Lord. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But ladies and gents, you've heard it all. We've given you everything you need to know about these 2 projects. Now it's time for you to go and do your own research and find out which one is right for you, Cardano or Ethereum. Personally, I love both. I'm a supporter of both. I invest in both. I'm not a maxi on either. I think, again,
Yet.
safety, yes, safety. He's trying to convert me. Safety, security, cost, transaction cost, and speed are very important. And until we can hone those down, neither of these two projects are ready. But it's not over yet. Before we start to close, I need to segue us into the metaverse. Cornucopias. I've had them on the show. I absolutely love. Talk about Maxi. I'm going to go Cornucopias Maxi. I absolutely love this project. Josh and Rob, the two founders, co-founders, were on the show. They talked about what they're building. It's fascinating. Crow is also a huge fan, obviously. Tell us what stands out the most about Cornucopias for you, and then I'll go second.
So first I want to preface everything by saying I am actually a paid ambassador for Cornucopias, but that was because I hounded them and I said, listen, I want in, I want to be a part of this. I want to know everything as it happens. Like what I went after it. And then I finally got it after, I don't even know how long. It might have taken like 6 months or something. It took a while. And they are very true, just builders, man. They have a big vision and big goals, and they're doing it. And I joke about Pavia because everybody used to like, what do you think about this, Crow? Why don't you talk about it? And I'm like, because they don't have anything to talk about. I don't know why you even care. Well, I won't say a lot of land, but I am well equipped with land. I had to buy it on the secondary market because I couldn't buy it when the auctions would go live. I would be right there waiting, and within seconds everything was gone. And I know that people had set up scripts and bots to buy it on bulk and stuff, and I was pissed. But there's not much you could do about that, really. They tried to prevent it, but whatever. I got some legendary land. I'm gonna have a custom dome, and I'm there's so much. I don't even know where to start, Mona. There's so much. I am going to be hiring like live virtual DJs to perform concerts in my thing.
Dome?
In my dome, yes.
That is so
you're
cool.
gonna have to have a Murder of Crows NFT to get in, and that's gonna be your ticket to any special events I have.
Of course.
There's so much. I mean, honest to God, and I keep hounding them. Like every month, I'm like, when do I get to start building? When do I get to start building?
I think 2023, it's gonna be their year. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's so much to say about cornucopias, and what I love about them is the diversity they bring into these like themed zones that they've created, and all these like different experiences that you can build in these different environments. I mean, you can go build like a PvP games, player versus player games, in these custom domes, and they're like countryside, right? Or they have these tropical landscapes, or you can go build a B2B opportunity in their city environment, which is soulless.
And have all of that.
Yeah, and interact with real businesses like Tesla, bridging these digital and physical environments or products, right? So I think like Cornucopias, to me, what stands out the most about Cornucopias is very much a I call community building metaverse, right? That's done through gamified tasks. When I bring on board founders, I often talk about what makes an ideal metaverse environment and who is building that ideal metaverse environment when people want to spend hours on that platform. And frankly, I think you have to build, when we talk about this, we talk a lot about building these experiences that yes, are fun, are engaging, are educational, but they're also customizable, right? For people to want to engage, and it takes hours for them to do those things. And I think Cornucopias is really doing a great job for kind of accomplishing that ideal environment. And they're doing it through just creating these different environments, and also in-game economies. They are very pro in-game economies. I mean, they have the build to earn, but something that Josh really takes pride in is their learn to earn economy, which that was really fascinating to me. And I think they're going to launch that in 2023, the learn to earn economy, and he really wants to create these like classrooms where people can come and learn about ecosystems. So I think they're just, I mean, you and I talk to a lot of founders that are building different metaverse environments, but what they're doing and the environments that they're creating, I think people would want to spend a lot of hours and time building and engaging in those environments. So
I
that's
think there's a
why,
big difference between a metaverse that builds to make money
yeah,
and builds to empower the people to build, right? You know, there are too many metaverse projects out there that are ultimately just trying to make a quick buck. And a lot of them look very flimsy to me when I look at them. And then when I see something like Cornucopias that, you know, they're dividing their worlds, you've got multiple themes, there's so many different things you could do, from the racing to the building to the different kind of realms and games. And not only that, but the way that they're basically setting things up so that you can bring the outside world into your metaverse through APIs and things. I've had discussions with them about making my social media platform operate and functional within Cornucopias for people that are, you know, doing things in my worlds. And they're also very receptive to ideas, and I see these things. So yeah, I'm definitely all about Cornucopias and what they're building. And you know, if you look at some of the most popular games today in the world, like No Man's Sky, where you're basically able to travel around and accumulate resources and build your own bases all over the place, and just a lot of these games that empower you to build your own existence within that game world, that to me is what's going to drive the ship. And when you mix that in with DeFi and blockchain and the other aspects of cryptocurrency, and Cornucopias is the only one that I see doing it. I mean, I have sandbox land and it's great, but it's very, very limited. It's extremely expensive because nobody wants to build with their tools. Nobody wants to do anything. And those that do want to charge you an exorbitant amount of money to do it. And because they know they're in limited supply. And, you know, that's a gateway, you know, that's a limitation that's going to cause Sandbox to suffer. And I think Cornucopias is just doing things in the way that I think it's really going to grow. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to build where people want to hang out, right? And we do have some metaverses that we thought they were going to, you know, keep pushing and do well. I mean, I'm looking at Decentraland, sorry, and Sandbox, and they started really strong. But again, you got to keep the engagement. You got to keep people's attention, and you people in that environment for hours on end. And you have to be able to do more, you know, numerous things. And I think Cornucopias is really on that same direction of creating an ideal environment. So all eyes on Cornucopias. We'll see how they will do. And I know they got some alphas dropping in 2023. So between me and Crow, you guys are going to hear what they're up to in 2023. Crow, I want to thank you for participating in the show today. It was so, so great to have you. And I hope we can have more of these conversations very soon.
Anytime. I'm always around.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us on the latest episode of Metaverse Express Full Stop. I'm your host, Mona. Until next time.
Crow your coins.